Hello, everybody. This is Seb Burnett with the Backups Podcast, and I'm here with my co-host, X.
Well, you're not technically because, well, I'm already in Dallas, Texas.
Ah, God, I hate you so much.
You should.
I'm so jealous. Yep, Tex is already there for draft week for business and to check out AT&T, scope it out. I'm going to go up there and meet him on Wednesday with a couple of our other buddies. It's going to be a blast. I am thoroughly excited. I have had the countdown going into the group text for at least a week now. I'm sure everyone's sick of it.
Longer than that. Yeah, it's been a while.
I don't give a shit. I really don't. I am just too damn excited about 3 days full of football, beer, and burgers. Literally, I can't.
Yeah, that's a pretty good description. Football, beer, it's probably in that order too.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like all we're going to do is talk about football, which I'm completely okay with. We got a great show coming at you today. Our plan all along with the 32 and 32 was to do just one big one towards the end. And here it is today. We're just going to run through 14 teams for you guys. It's going to be a little bit longer of a podcast, but I think you just fucking deal with it. This is our show and suck dicks. So Tex, anything to say?
Let's do this shit.
That sounds about right.
Hold on tight, folks. We're bringing in the Backups. It's the Backups Podcast with your hosts, Seb and Professor Tex. Let's do this thing.
We have to start this off properly, right?
Yep. What are you drinking?
I am drinking the ever so delicious and decadent Michelob Ultra.
Ugh, God. That even sounds terrible.
I needed a little bit of water.
Yeah, essentially you're just drinking water. I am drinking Triforce IPA out of Suck Itself Brewery here in Atlanta. I don't think you've had this yet, but man, it is a good IPA. I haven't had it since I went to the brewery. I just saw it on in Publix today, and I was thoroughly excited. Here we go. Oh yeah.
Can you tell me this?
Sure.
Who is your favorite microbrewery?
Scofflaw.
Okay. Who is your second?
Like in general or in Georgia?
Oh, okay. So now we're going to categorize it when your first one was just Scofflaw, but the second one is up for debate. In Georgia, how about that?
Okay. The second self.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
What about in general?
Wicked Weed.
Wicked Weed?
Yeah, I had a really cool story happen Sunday. Sophie, my lady love, and I were out at Yard House in Atlantic Station, and they have a pretty big beer list, and on this beer list it just said Wicked Weed Seasonal, and I thought I could use a good Wicked Weed right now. And I asked the bartenderess, I said, so what is the Wicked Weed Seasonal? And she said, I don't know. So she checked on, I'm guessing, the keg. She checked in the records. She asked the other bartenders. No one knew what it was, Tex. No one. So I said, all right, give me a sample. She gave me a sample. Boom, French toast stout. Immediately knew what it was. Game over.
Wow.
I know. I felt like a boss, dude. I'm not going to lie to you.
Not only a boss, but a man. Like a real man.
I know. Like a real. You can see that bartender's face. Like she was about to pounce on me. Sophie got a little worried about it. It was great.
So I have to tell you something. I went to Dallas 3 weeks ago when I missed 3 flights in one day, or within a 24-hour period. I think you remember that, me telling you about that. But during my trip, one of the reasons why I missed 2 of my flights was because I was out drinking with my boss, and we went to a local bar that he loves, because they have a really wide variety of microbrewery selection.
Sure.
And he is in love with Goose Island, Bourbon County. I guess it's a rare.
Yeah. I know what he's talking about. It's good beer. It's very rare.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they have different, stouts and whatnot underneath the Bourbon County name.
Yep.
And so we go to this bar and they have 2 on tap.
Ugh.
$22 for a 12 ounce.
That's so expensive.
Yeah. So we both got 2. We both got both of their beers, and they were really good. Super smooth. I think the first one was like a coffee stout, and then the next one was I can't really put. I think it was like a chocolate, and oh my gosh, man! I mean, I think it was 11%. Alcohol. I mean, it was.
Oh yeah, it'll buzz you.
It was definitely strong.
Oh yeah,
very strong.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, I thought that was pretty cool.
No, that's super cool.
But moving on.
All right.
Let's
do this. Yeah, we're gonna start at the let's talk some foosball. We're gonna start the Green Bay Packers. Tex, tell me about the Green Bay Packers in 2017.
2017, they finished 7-9, and if you remember, there was a controversial hit by the Vikings linebacker. I think it was Anthony Barr. When Aaron Rodgers was rolling out to his right, Anthony Barr, hit him as he was throwing the ball and then kind of landed on him, broke his collarbone. I think that was a little bit towards the middle of the season. And essentially Green Bay's chances of any type of postseason run were, lit up right then and there. Brett Hundley, I think he's a 4-year backup, came in and showed that, there's a reason why he's a backup. And, while he was able to do something that Aaron Rodgers up until that point had never been able to do, which is win a game in overtime, he was not able to elevate his entire team's play anywhere near the level of Aaron Rodgers. It's just, it's a sad case. While I think Aaron Rodgers is an amazing quarterback, it just seems like ever since they've won that Super Bowl, during this, first 2 or 3 years when he was a starter, they just have never really been able to recapture that
magic.
That magic, that success.
Yeah, having kind of the whole team put together and everything going right. They've suffered a lot of wide receiver issues. They've suffered some, of course, Aaron Rodgers injuries, and then they suffer offensive line injuries, and then their defense just really kind of hasn't gotten back that magic. And I think that's really what affected them this year. And it all kind of came to a head. I think you got to start this draft by, I don't know, man. Like I'm not saying you got to start in the first round, getting him help, but I do feel like you need to get Aaron Rodgers some assistance in that offense, especially now that Jordan Nelson is gone.
Jordy or Jordan?
Jordy.
What do you call him?
I call him
Jordy.
Call him J Nell. We're actually really good friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so here's the thing for you. I already know the answer, for me. For you, do you think the Packers are in complete rebuild mode outside of quarterback?
I don't think you can ever be in complete rebuild mode, honestly, with a quarterback that good. That's the rub, is that Aaron Rodgers, a healthy Aaron Rodgers, is good enough to get you like 9 to 10 wins a year, in my opinion. Because he could be considered, honestly, like a top 10 all time if you really want to go deep into it. But like winning that many games kills you every year in the draft, being down that low. And I know some people, Eric Galco, blah, 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 say that there's not really a considerable difference between 10 to 20. Isn't that what he said? But I feel like there is, because especially these days when you get so many quarterbacks that go in like the first 5, that really pushes down those players into that sweet spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I think, this year is a little bit of a rarity in the terms. It's like the perfect storm. You have so many teams that have either had, perennial quarterbacks get injured, retire, or, their production just fell off the face of the earth. So, they're not going to be re-signed, or they just can't get off their knee. And that's the reason why they don't get, signed. But usually I don't, there's not 5 quarterbacks that get taken in the first round. It's 2 to 3. But yeah, I get that. I just think, when they released Jordy Nelson, and they've kind of had issues at at the offensive line. Their linebacker core is getting a little bit older, and then they really haven't been able to solve the running back issue since they drafted Trent Richardson, right? Or not Trent Richardson. Who was was it? No, it wasn't Trent. It was Alabama running back. Who was it?
I don't know what you're saying. I think
Eddie Lacy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yep. Eddie Lacy was supposed to come in and kind of take over that starting running back role. And while he did good the first year, his production fell off the face of the earth. Same with Trent Richardson. I mean,
how many years after that were you so high on Eddie Lacy in fantasy football?
Yeah, I mean, there's always a soft spot for Eddie Lacy, right?
Yeah, it's called his stomach because he can't stop
it's his stomach. You think Eddie Lacy and Trent Richardson are just hanging out, just rubbing bellies together? Like, man, we sure did get those guys the first year.
Hand me another donut, baby. Yeah, I'm not. I can't blame him. If you give me like $15 million, I'm gonna eat a lot of donuts too.
Where do you think their need lies? The biggest need in the first round.
Right now, I honestly, where they are, I think cornerback is their biggest need. Like they did draft Kevin King last year. Okay, I'll say cornerback. I'm gonna say like the secondary is their biggest need. They lost Morgan Burnett. Their good strong safety they had. They don't have anyone next to HaHa Clinton Dix, who I really like HaHa, but I think he can't do it all on his own. I think someone opposite of Kevin King will be a good idea. At that 14 spot, man, it's rough though. But it's entirely possible that someone like Derwin James or Denzel Ward slips down to where they are, and they could go there. Or you're talking about maybe an edge rusher at that, we're right there at 14, like a Marcus Davenport or a Harold Landry. Okay. What do you think?
I think there's some amazing players, like you said, that are going to be pushed down to them. At the same time, I also see it, being completely possible that the Packers are so comfortable drafting at the end of the first round that they go ahead and make a trade with somebody at the end and acquire some more draft capital, because they do have so many needs on that team. And while one player, a top-notch player, can make a huge difference, they don't need one top-notch player in my elite player. They need 5 really good players that can come in and produce and make a difference to make a solid push over the next 3 to 4 years with Aaron Rodgers. So I mean, he's getting up there. He's no spring chicken anymore.
Yeah, so, and he's been injured, and that's where it all kind of becomes comes to a head for me. Is that like you don't have forever. You got to get the man some help. I definitely think that it's entirely possible they go wide receiver there. I think getting Calvin Ridley could be a great thing for them. I think Aaron Rodgers would love to have that.
Right.
But as you said, I think trading down could be a good idea for them. Maybe getting, a second round pick. They have a couple of extra picks. They have 2 picks in the 4th, 5th. They have 3 picks in the 5th and then 2 in the 6th. So I definitely think that,
they could definitely trade back. Yeah, now, in terms of, you mentioned injuries for Aaron Rodgers, somebody that was also injured last year, who is a lesser known name, but had an amazing, I want to say it was almost 7 or 8 game stretch of the season, was Chris Thompson of the Washington Redskins. I think he was a top 5 fantasy back before he ended up getting injured. And it was kind of, disheartening, because the Redskins, while they were giving him the production, internally they always felt like, his health was a question mark, and then he ends up getting hurt. So they actually get proven correct. And, now, in my opinion, the Redskins this year have got to be looking at a running back to help Alex Smith, settle him down a little bit. But what did you think about the Redskins last year?
I mean, the Redskins, they are who we thought they were. No, Kirk Cousins, I feel like he did what he could with the team. They essentially stripped away all of his talent. They shipped it out of town. They did bring in Terrell Pryor. that didn't quite work out like they hoped he would, and now he's with the Jets at this point. But they were decimated by injuries on that offensive line, and that didn't help. And then Chris Thompson is a good running back, but he's like, I feel like you can't put a full like NFL bell cow running back load on someone like Chris Thompson. It just doesn't really work that way. I'm right there with you, though. With Alex Smith, I feel like you need some specific things with Alex Smith to really make him a viable guy. Number one is a running game. Like we saw what having Kareem Hunt last year did for that team.
Yeah, and if you look at the like the 30,000 foot view of both the Chiefs and the Redskins, they do have some very interesting similarities in the fact that the Chiefs have Travis Kelce, and the Redskins have who do they have?
Reed?
Yeah, right. Who do they have?
What's his first name?
Jordan.
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Jordan Reed. And then as far as wide receivers go,
well, he's not exactly Travis Kelce or anything like that, but like, yeah.
No, but I would say he's definitely a top 5 tight end.
Yeah, that's when
healthy.
Yeah, and that's what you're talking about. I think one thing that you have to look at with a considerable difference, though, is that like with the Chiefs last year, like they still had not Kareem Hunt. Wide receiver.
Oh man, why am I drawing a blank? I can see his face. Oh my gosh. Corey, Tammy, Tamba, Tiki.
I don't think that's it.
Why are we doing a podcast? Do we even know what we're talking about?
No, we really don't. Tyreek Hill.
I
always do that. I always do that with Tyreek Hill specifically. I don't know. It drives me nuts.
You gotta call him Ty Ty.
Call him out Ty Ty. No, that's Tyrod Taylor's name.
That's true. I'm just saying, like, even Tyreek Hill is a good wide receiver, but he's not, Julio Jones, AJ Green, like, those true number one. And I think the Redskins are very similar in the fact that they don't necessarily have a true, like, guy that you can point to. They have a lot of really good guys, but in Tyreek Hill, I would probably say is better than, the Redskins, current, wide receiver core. But, from a 30,000 foot view, I think there's definitely some similarities that blur the lines for both teams.
Yeah, and that's why they brought him in. I of course, you predicted, I think, in your most recent mock, which you can find on our website and all of our social media, you guys, you had them going Darius Geis, I believe.
Yeah, so Geis, his stock, he's been linked to a few teams, one of them being the Steelers for obvious reasons with Le'Veon Bell, another one being the Lions because in order to win a Super Bowl, you need LeGarrette Blount and a complimentary running back. But I think a sneaky sleeper pick, something you need to watch out for, guys. Washington Redskins, they've been doing a ton of homework on Darius Geis, and he is quietly moving up mock draft boards. I think it could be a sneaky pick at number 13 for the Redskins to go ahead and grab him ahead of other running back needy teams like the Packers, the Ravens, the Lions, the Steelers.
The Ravens? How dare you say that about Sir Alex Collins?
Okay, for me, I don't. You and I are on the same page. We don't feel that the Ravens need a running back. For some reason, though, 95% of the talking heads out there seem to think that they do. So, there's got to be something to it. I know that possibly the Ravens front office doesn't necessarily believe in Alex Collins for whatever reason. Maybe it's because he can dance better than them. But it is what it is, right? It doesn't matter what I believe. It matters what other teams in the NFL believe. And so if you're the Redskins, and you feel like Darius Geis can make an immediate impact, which, if you look in that division and divisions across the NFL, young, talented, elite running backs can definitely have a, very positive impact. And again, we can point to Alex Smith last year with Kareem Hunt. You can point to Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette. There's guys all over the NFL that have made an immediate impact. And even some respects, Dalvin Cook, whenever he was playing, before he injured his knee, I mean, the guy was a top 5 running back in the league. So, he played a little bit of a part in settling down Case Keenum while Sam Bradford was deciding whether or not he wanted to
participate.
Yeah, put his knee back together.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. We didn't do this before. Give me a prediction next year on the Green Bay Packers in 2018. Give me a record.
Man, I don't like it. I don't like it for them at all. I know that you mentioned, having Aaron Rodgers is basically a shoo-in for 7. What did you say? 8 or 9 wins,
right?
To be honest, man, I'll put them at. Oh my gosh, you got. The number that pops in my head, man, is 8-8. I hate to say it.
Yeah, but that's kind of what I'm feeling. Like, I love Aaron Rodgers. I think he's fantastic, but like, there's just a lot of issues around them that he's covered up until now, and I feel like he's just. I don't know. I'd be tired of it if I was him.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If like the team just doing shitty. Like what they're drafting just isn't working out. They're not putting the team together for him. Signing free agents. They got him Jimmy Graham, but like, yay.
Well, I just think that every year something ends up coming up, and I think that they've done a great job in putting pieces around him. But like Randall Cobb was an amazing signing, but he went through his prime and now he's on the other side of it. Jordy Nelson was a great draft pick for Aaron Rodgers and was amazing, but then he started to have injury issues and was in and out of the lineup. They had AJ Hawk, who was a great linebacking piece, and he's no longer with the team, or he's been no longer with the team. But I'm just saying, from they drafted Eddie Lacy, who had a great first season, and then he's no longer. They brought in Michael Bennett. There's just one thing after another.
Bad luck?
Yeah, a ton of bad luck.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so Redskins, give me next year. What's the record?
Oh my gosh, I don't even like Alex Smith, but I'll say. Yeah, I'll probably say another 7-9.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I was actually going to say 8-8, 9-7. I don't know. I think Gruden's going to do a pretty decent job about getting Alex Smith what he needs and to play his game and kind of keep carrying on what he did last year to improve his game plan over there with Andy Reid over in Kansas City. All right, so moving on to the Bills at 12. We talked about them already with the 22nd pick, but just kind of want to reiterate because here at 12 we can talk about what we think that they're going to do, and I think that that's kind of interesting. Like, Tex, what's the how do I say this? What's the percent chance that they trade into the top 5 for a quarterback, or call it top 6? Call it top 6.
From what I'm hearing, in terms of trading into the top 6, I would say 50-50. And I think that's a fair assessment, because right now what I'm hearing is they're on the fence on what it will take really to jump up there. And I think it's easy, for all of us to sit back and say, hey, they traded away Cordy Glenn and moved up to 12 in order to go get a quarterback and jump up. But I'm starting to hear chatter about maybe the Bills are content staying at 12, and while they want to jump up and get their guy, they also aren't in the market to overpay, especially for this quarterback class. When you're talking about potentially getting the 3rd or 4th best quarterback, you don't want to hurt your franchise for 2 or 3 years down the road. So sit there and maybe take, a player at 12, the best player available, and take another player at 22 and sit where you are. And be content with that, because they did sign A.J. McCarron to an extremely friendly, 2-year deal. Right. I mean, where he cost relatively nothing.
Right.
So, who knows, man? What do you think?
I think Bills fans would be happy at 12 to get someone like Tremaine Edmonds if he falls to them. I definitely think that linebacker role is somewhere that they need for sure. Personally, I don't like their wide receivers. I just, like, no one blows my hair back. Zay Jones and Kelvin Benjamin. I know there's a Bills fan out there on Instagram that likes to tell us how wrong we are. And what did he say? They're set at wide receiver, I think is what he said. It's like,
Well, I think that was a Jets fan, wasn't it? Or was it a Bills?
no, it was both of them. By the way, both of you folks up there in the Northeast, just calm the fuck down. Like, what's going on here? You know what I mean? I get it.
Yeah.
I get it's cold. You're miserable, but relax.
Yeah, when you roster 17 wide receivers, that's not a plus in my opinion. That means I have no idea who's the best.
That means Robbie Anderson is the best, and he just told a cop this past winter that he was going to come on his wife's face and get it in her eye or something along that line.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. It's probably not a stretch for the cop. But anyways,
Maybe.
Yeah, in terms of wide receivers for the Buffalo Bills, Kelvin Benjamin, I think, was a horrible pickup for the Bills. And I wouldn't be shocked if they cut him. Look for the Bills to potentially sign Des Bryant. You never know. They definitely need the help.
Yep.
And Zay Jones had a pretty horrific rookie season, second-round draft pick from 2017. He's got to do better this next season.
Yep.
But if they do trade away assets and capital to move up and grab their quarterback, number one, they have AJ McCarron already signed for the season, and I think he's going to end up starting and be at least the quarterback halfway through the season. And number two, who's the quarterback going to be throwing to, and what assets do they have that are going to put that team in a good position? I'm personally leaning to them staying at 12. I think it makes a ton of sense for the value that they're going to get in terms of a player.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, and a lot of mocks that you see. They do have Tremaine.
A lot of max.
Yeah, they do have Tremaine or Raekwon getting thrown down there at 12, and I think both of them could be a pretty solid pickup. I think Tremaine more than Raekwon for them, honestly. I think cornerback, getting someone to opposite of Tre'Davious White. I know they signed Vontae Davis this past offseason. I get it, but I'm still not super confident in that. That mix up, and they could use some help along the offensive line. The Bills are a messy 9-7.
Very lucky 9-7 in my opinion.
Very awesome Tyrod Taylor 9-7.
Very not gonna happen again 9-7.
Give me a prediction. Say it.
4-12.
Oh, there's going to be a mad Bills fan somewhere. Damn.
Bills Mafia they're going to go in on us.
They're going to do it. I don't know. I always think of, when people talk about the Bills Mafia, I always think of Robin Williams' bit on Live on Broadway, and when he talks about the gay mafia.
Oh my gosh, I didn't see that, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, it's great. The mauve hand. Does this pistol make my ass look big? Just stuff like that. Anyway,
I'm gonna have to YouTube that.
Oh yeah, I'll send it to you. Anyway, moving on to the Miami Dolphins at 11. They went 6-10 last year. Ryan Tannehill got injured again.
Preseason.
Yeah, they lost a.
You want to know something interesting?
What?
Why is it that Ryan Tannehill gets injured preseason? Had a full 2-3 months head start, and yet all we're hearing about right now is how Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz are back and ready to come back into action. We're not hearing anything out of the Miami Dolphins or Ryan Tannehill.
You think he just doesn't
Does that tell you anything?
care anymore?
I think they're pretty much moved on from him.
Yeah, I mean, I totally wouldn't blame them. Tannehill had some flashes, but honestly, come on, man. He gets hurt too much. He's a wide receiver playing quarterback. He's Lamar Jackson. I'm just kidding.
Oh, that's
Some needs for them: outside linebacker, defensive tackle to replace Ndamukong Suh, tight end, right guard, cornerback, and quarterback. I really like Raekwon McMillan, their pickup last year at linebacker. I think he's really good. I do not like Kiko. I think next year or this year, trade his ass, cut him next season, save some money on the cap space. Where they are, they have a pretty decent defensive line, and I think someone like Roquan at 11 makes a lot of sense. I don't think he makes it there. I think slowly but steadily we're hearing it from the talking heads that Roquan is probably going to go top 10 now, to the Colts at 6.
I don't mind that.
No,
he's good.
No, he's really good for what he can do. And that's it's a big part of what you want in today's NFL, especially for certain kinds of systems. They could do that. They could go Roquan if he's there. They could go Vita Vea. I think Vita Vea is a really good pickup for them just to solidify that defensive line and kind of cover up that spot where Sue left. What about you? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd love for Vita Vea to go there. Unfortunately, the lifespan or career span of nose tackle is just it's not that long, and I think that if he does go there, he's going to use up 4 or 5 years, and they're going to, if he's produces, they're going to drag it out and wear him out, and he's not really going to do much in terms of the entire team, because he can influence the team about as much as Aaron Donald as a ceiling, but I just don't think that's the best use of their money. I would put it in a linebacker if I were them.
If one of the top two are there, you don't reach.
No, I would say linebacker or cornerback, in my opinion, are by far their corner pieces for moving forward, because make no mistake, Miami is definitely in a rebuild mode right now. So
yeah, they have to be. And I mean, I don't know, man. What does Adam Gase have to do to keep his job, you think?
Probably find some sort of blackmail material. I think he's literally going to be filling a spot over the next year. He's been there for 3 years, and there's absolutely zero direction in terms of where the team is going, in my opinion. I wouldn't be shocked if we are actually confused after this draft on where the Dolphins went with their pick. I'm pretty sure their starting quarterback, Matt Moore, is confused on if he's going to be the starting quarterback or if he's going to be the backup to the backup starting quarterback. There's just so many question marks on this team, and you bring in a new head coach, and it's, new head coach, new direction, new ideology, new philosophy, and I just don't see that. I think Adam Gase is way over his head, and I don't see it. Short of him drafting the next Deshaun Watson,
he's just not.
I think he'll be.
Yeah, you just don't see it working out. Okay, what do you think their record is next year?
Horrible. I seriously do think they contend for the number 1 overall pick.
Whoa. Wow. All right.
Like 2-14.
Wow. So then you think next year for sure they're in the running for a quarterback then? So yeah, this year is the tanking year. Like, let's just tank and get our guy next year.
Yeah, and I honestly, there's 2 different teams in the NFL right now, or 3. There's the ones that tank and do a complete ground up build, and then there's the ones that are like the Rams and the Vikings that go out and make a solid push for this year. And then there's the ones in the middle that are kind of, in that no man's land where they don't know if they need to ship everything away and start from the ground up or kind of invest. And that's where I see the Dolphins. And I think it's going to come back and bite them.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. That makes a ton of sense to me. I don't think we're going to be looking at a good Dolphins team next year. Sorry, Dolphins fans. Some of you are actually pretty cool. Some of you suck dick. It is Miami. Anyway, Oakland Raiders. Tell me about them.
Man, I hate to harp on it, but we're getting to the part of, the draft where there's just a lot to say that's wrong with teams. They went 6-10 this past year. Carr is a great quarterback. I think in terms of how they did pretty much what most analysts thought they would. They didn't have that good of a season, and 2016 might have been a little bit more of a statistically good season that fell right for the Raiders than them actually being that good of a team. And so I think that's why Jack Del Rio,
and then fell drastically wrong.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, Amari Cooper's been exposed, a ton of drops, just hasn't really lived up to his draft position. Michael Crabtree was a great, complimentary piece, but, he's getting older
and he's a Raven now.
They had to move on.
Yeah.
And he's a Raven. They've made a ton of questionable signings. And I think, I've said this before, John Gruden will be a horrible nightmare for the Los Angeles Raiders. Not Las Vegas Raiders. So,
right.
I think he is too far out of touch and I really do liken him coming back to like Joe Gibbs when he came back, except Joe Gibbs didn't get paid, as you like to say.
Nice.
And Gruden did. Gruden got paid. So, yeah, they have a ton of needs, and I feel like they're another one of those teams that are just going to screw this pick up.
Well, it's so crazy that we've gone from 2 years ago, it was an argument between them and the Dallas Cowboys for who has the best offensive line in the game. And now it's like Donald Penn's getting old. They had to switch over to the guy that stood in last year for the right tackle. It's like, he's bad. That defense is horrible. They drafted Gary Conley, cornerback out of Ohio State University last year. He didn't really play. So it's kind of like they just have so much they need to do right now. Some of the bigger needs are the right tackle position, middle linebacker, cornerback, outside linebacker. They just got a lot, man. Where do you see them going? What are some players you think they should be looking at?
Now, if we're going to say, where do I see them going? I see them potentially going middle linebacker. Or cornerback. Where do I see John Gruden taking them? Who knows? That guy is a crazy nut job. I see him doing something that not only is borderline attention grabbing, but also highly risky. I think he makes a statement with his 10th overall pick and picks somebody that's quote unquote his guy that he believes in. But I see him drastically reaching and looking some sheer best player available.
So like a Darius Hayward-Bay kind of reach?
Of course. I would 100% agree with that. I would say, I saw a few mock drafts that had Harold Landry at 10. I had, was another one, Maurice Hurst at 10. And I'm not saying, who knows, right?
The value's just not there for that kind of a reach, honestly. I saw one, I believe it was the Reddit community on the NFL draft subreddit. They had whoever was picking for the Raiders, they had Connor Williams going at 10. And I like Connor Williams, guys, but he is not worth that. He's not worth the 10th pick.
Well, here's the thing. Is he potentially worth it? Is he all pro? Is he Joe Thomas? I would say Joe Thomas is worth the 10th overall pick.
But he's not Joe Thomas.
But he's not, and you don't know. You don't know about any of these. And so you really have to do a ton of your homework. And it's my understanding that the Raiders have not brought in a lot of guys in terms of pre-draft interviews and kind of vetting. So I'm very curious to see where they go. Seriously.
Yeah, no, I definitely think it'll be really interesting what old Grudy does. Give me a record for them next year.
Man, I just don't know. It's a huge question mark. I think Gruden could come in and, on one side of my cheek, I'm saying, he's going to be a disaster. And on the other side of my cheek, I could see them going, 9-7 his first year. But I don't think that's indicative of the true direction. I think it could be a one-hit wonder. But yeah, I kind of see them at, falling at 9-7, surprising some people. And then, listen, guys, we got 10 years of this. So
yay.
Allegedly, I would give them a solid 4 or 5, but we'll see.
Yeah. I'm right. I'm right. No, I'm right there with you. I think it's entirely possible they have kind of a surprise season. I don't like it because that makes them think that they're better than they really are. I think it's just kind of another, pulling the wool over your eyes sort of thing for that team. If they do go 9-7, then they don't get the higher picks. I would rather see them go like a 4-12, honestly. Just, continue to kind of shore up that team. They're going to need a running back soon. Look, I love you, Marshawn. I really do. But, man, it's just not, he's getting really to the end of the road there.
Even though taste rainbows, it's time.
Yeah, well, he had a good season last year, but I think that was more out of the amount of carries that he got, and the whole thing is wide receiver wise, you're really looking at Amari Cooper. I think we could see them do something kind of weird and do like a Calvin Ridley at 10.
You never know.
Yeah, you don't know. What we do know is that the San Francisco 49ers are for sure set at quarterback for right now, right?
They are for sure set at quarterback. They've got Jimmy Garoppolo. They had a pretty good uh, 2017 season, and I say pretty good because they basically won out and gave up the second overall pick in order to get Jimmy Garoppolo some playing time, and I think see what they really had in him. And I would say, while on one side you would say maybe that wasn't the best decision, I think they made the right decision for themselves. And at 9, they're still in a great position to take an amazing player, especially because of the top of the draft.
Yeah, exactly. So they just lucked the fuck out, really. They really did, because all these great players are going to get pushed down, and there's still going to be people trying to, go up here into the top of the round. I think the Niners are in a great place to possibly trade down if they want to. Teams are going to be jumping up here to try to get like a Minka or a Derwin James or a Denzel Ward. I definitely think that they could trade out and get some more draft picks over there in the second and third round. In terms of, they were 6-10 last year. In terms of some of their needs, they still need some help in the guard position. They did bring in someone at center this year to really kind of shore up that area. They've got a good left and right tackle, should be fine for now. Personally, I think running back is a bigger deal than people are talking about. Like, I like Jerick McKinnon, but he's not an every down guy. And I think that having two good running backs does really well for Shanahan's system. And I think if they trade down, I think we could see them trying to get like a Darius Geis or something like that to pair up with Jerick.
I like that. Yeah. So, I mean, in my most recent mock that we released today, I actually had San Francisco moving up ahead of who was it? Tampa Bay and the Bears and Indy, and I think grabbing Saquon Barkley if he ends up falling. I think that would be a perfect move. I think you and I spoke about it months ago, and the fact that all along the 49ers have been linked to Saquon Barkley, and if the New York Giants end up passing on Barkley, I think we could see the 49ers jump up to get their man. Now, if that doesn't happen, it would not surprise me at all for Lynch to be a very smart man and weigh his options and either trading, down and acquiring some draft capital, or picking the best player available, somebody like a Derwin James or, a good linebacker at this position. I don't think, Quentin Nelson, I think, could potentially be gone to the Bears at 8. So if he's not there, you just never know. But I think,
I think Quentin Nelson would be great for that team. Honestly, they have a need at both left guard and right guard.
Right.
And then my biggest proponent, and I talk about this on the podcast all the time, guys, people will know this, that protecting your star quarterback, your brand new quarterback, is your biggest responsibility as an organization and a team. You give him weapons and you give him an offensive line. If you don't do that, what the fuck did you give up? Why give up what you gave up to get him? Honestly.
Indianapolis Colts.
Seattle Seahawks.
Very true. Very true. What do you think? Where do you think they fall this next year?
Oh God, I think that they're going to kick some ass in this draft. Honestly. Oh, they spent so much on that defensive line. I think they go ahead and try to get a linebacker going. Someone like a Roquan. If Roquan falls to them and Quentin Nelson doesn't, I see them going Roquan. I've said that. I've been saying that for a while now. I just think it makes a lot of sense to have Roquan able to kind of roam behind that defensive line. Their biggest player on that defensive line, obviously, is DeForest Buckner. Solomon Thomas kind of disappointed last year. Not really much else going on, honestly.
And they're still dealing with Foster. Don't forget about that.
Yeah, and then that's where Saquon also comes in. They essentially get to replace Reuben Foster, who they did move back up into the first round to get him last year, right?
Right.
Which I loved that pick because, Reuben Foster has a ton of potential. He just can't keep it on the field. And all reports are coming out that, if Reuben Foster is found guilty, that he is going to be cut by the 49ers, which sucks, but, what are you going to do? Yeah. I'm going to call, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say 10-6.
Yeah, I'm at 9-7. I think that would be a good a good place. 10-6 would be a little overachieving for me, and I don't know if they're at that potential or that position just yet, especially in that division. That division is going to be an interesting one, to say the least. So,
oh yeah, dude, that division is going to be like ridiculously difficult to deal with. I think another person that they could look to if they trade back would possibly be Josh Jackson to play across from Richard Sherman, just to kind of keep up with that zone. I don't think you can keep relying on Richard Sherman forever. They have some decent pieces in that secondary, but they do need to insert some talent in there. Pretty bad, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. This class is pretty deep at cornerback as well.
Yeah, exactly. Like you could possibly get someone in the second. No, they don't have a second round pick. If they trade back and get a second round pick, they could definitely target someone like a Carlton Davis or an Isaiah Oliver if they really want to get kind of testy with it. Let's talk about the Bears a little bit. Tell me about the Bears in 2017.
I think they were definitely confusing in terms of figuring out how to use Trubisky. They're completely depleted at wide receiver. Talk about bad luck. Their wide receivers couldn't stay healthy. Trubisky would have a game where, he would throw 15 to 20 times, and the next game he might throw 5. So, there's Trubisky definitely showed some promise, but they definitely need a lot of help. And I think 8 is an amazing position for them to take. Quentin Nelson and go ahead and shore up that offensive line, for the next 5 to 10 years, and it also is going to help open running lanes for the running backs. So
Jordan Howard and Tariq Cohen.
Yep. So and Cohen was a 3rd round draft pick last year, 4th round. So
yep, a nice, very complimentary piece in that backfield for sure.
But personally, I would probably value taking Quentin Nelson, a blue chip. A lot of people have Quentin Nelson ranked number 1 overall in this year's draft class, and to be able to get him at 8, and he fills a need, and he protects your most valuable asset, it's a no-brainer for me. I don't even look at anywhere else. I think that if Quentin Nelson is there, that they have to take him. So
yeah, I'm right there with you. I think that's definitely the best pick. What do you think the record's going to be next year?
Oh man, this is one of those teams that I'm actually rooting for them to not do as well, just because I'd like to see them, get some nice pieces, just like the Jaguars were able to do over 3 to 5 year span. I would honestly probably put them right around the same place, 6-10, 7-9, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
that division is going to be pretty tough with the Vikings. So. It's going to be ugly.
Yeah, and I really like the Bears. I think that they actually have a pretty they have the potential to be good, even with because they had a complete lack of wide receiver depth last year, and I still think that they were a pretty decent team. Like even when they played the Falcons, they impressed the hell out of me. Like they played us to the exact end. I feel like we definitely had more talent on our team, and they just played hard and played rough. And best of luck to them next year, though. I don't know. I like the team. I think Chubbs is pretty good. I'm not completely sold on him yet, but I'm anticipating seeing where he's going. I think it'll be interesting. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, talk about teams that you really you're interested to see do well. I don't want them to do well because obviously I'm a Falcons fan. But at the same time, it's like last year, we thought, man, Tampa Bay is about to have a crazy good year considering all the pieces they were able to acquire in that first round. And then they went 5-11.
Well, yeah, you look at them, and I think last year, the year before, they had 3 rookie all defensive players. They had Winston and Mike Evans on the come up. And, there was talk about, the buzz around Doug Martin kind of being in the best shape of his life. It really just fell apart quickly. Deshaun Jackson was supposed to be able to stretch the field. I think he underperformed a little bit in what they were really hoping to get out of him. They had Austin Seferian-Jenkins and OJ Howard, and Austin ended up and, left in free agency. So now pretty much everything's going to be falling on OJ Howard to pick up the pieces where he left off. And who's the other tight end they have? I forget his name.
Yeah, I can never remember his name.
Yeah. So I think the foundation is there for these guys. But here again, we're talking about defense for a team that has really invested a lot over the years in their defense. So
Right.
hopefully they can put it together. But
I think their biggest need, honestly, at that 7th spot is Denzel Ward. Or no, not Denzel Ward. Never mind. I'm sorry. Like, that's literally their issue. And it can be talked about among people that, watch the tape, kind of see what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers have been doing, is that, like, in that division in the NFC South, their secondary gets railroaded by these bigger wide receivers like Julio Jones and Michael Thomas, because they don't have anybody that's like that can take that kind of a cornerback beating, not beating, but be that physical. Like, Vernon Hargreaves is feisty, but he's smaller. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. And isn't Denzel Ward a little bit undersized?
Yeah, that's my whole thing, is Denzel Ward is undersized. I think Derwin James is kind of that good spot for them if that's the way that they want to go. He can play that strong safety role, but he's really versatile. Versatile. I always say that, but that's not even how you say it. He's really versatile.
That sounds good.
I know. He's really versatile, and that's somewhere to look. If Saquon Barkley falls, you got to take Saquon, because what is it? Peyton Barber, right? Is their running back right now?
Well, yeah. So they're trying to instill some sort of confidence in everybody and saying, hey, yeah, we've got Barber, and they still have the kid from the Falcons from Oregon State,
Jacquizz, yeah,
Jacquizz. But I mean, let's be honest here. If there's any opportunity for them to potentially jump the Colts or even maybe even the Broncos, and go up there and get their guy, I think they definitely do that. If Barkley falls past 2, Cleveland Browns number 4 pick instantly becomes one of the most valuable picks in the draft. So I think outside of the first overall pick, which is still not been decided yet, the second overall pick, the Giants, I mean, if they don't take Barkley and they take Chubb or a quarterback.
Yeah, you get teams that are looking to jump up there, not only for a quarterback, but teams possibly looking to come up for Saquon Barkley.
Well, yeah, I look at the Tampa Bay, the Colts, the Broncos, and even the Browns, even the Jets. But, they're going to take a quarterback. But I'm just saying, all those teams need running back.
Yeah.
So
no, I'm right there with you, especially because the Broncos just let C.J. Anderson go recently, which I thought he had a pretty decent season considering. But, what do I know? Yeah, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I mean, I feel like they need a little bit of work on their offensive line, especially at left tackle, which is the most important position. Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing, though. Give me a record.
Record. Ooh. I'm going to say 9-7. I'm going to say they improve a little bit. So this is a make or break year for Winston. I'm going to say it right now.
Yeah, I feel like he's either, he's got OJ Howard, who's going to, have another offseason under his belt to, get his game together. They can kind of game plan a little bit more for all the weapons that they have with Mike Evans. And I definitely feel like it's a make or break year. I see, I think like 10-6, 9-7. Yeah, that's about right.
There you go. There you go.
So let's talk about the Colts a little bit right now. They've made my favorite trade in terms of a trade winner so far in this kind of crazy ass offseason we've had so far. Trading from number 3 to number 6 with the Jets, acquiring some major second round pick value, which is so good for them because they have a lot of holes. I'm going to go ahead and read down some of mine right now.
Okay.
Right tackle, defensive end, outside linebacker, cornerback, guard, wide receiver, running back, middle linebacker, and defensive tackle.
So what don't they need?
A quarterback.
Oh yeah, I guess they do have a quarterback allegedly.
Shut up. No more of that shit. Obviously them moving down says they're completely okay with Andrew Luck.
For the record, I'm going to be right about LeBron James and getting knocked out in the first round, and I'm going to be right about Andrew Luck. No,
you're not. You're not going to be right about either of those. Yeah, and that means you buy the first round next time we go to the bar.
Okay, sounds good.
Deal. They were 4-12 next year. Or sorry, they were 4-12 last year. It was a rough season because Andrew Luck wasn't in there again. They had God, who was it at quarterback?
Brissett.
Yeah, Jacoby Brissett, which I think he did an admirable job considering who he was playing with. Like, the offensive line isn't that bad. I think due to injuries, it made it in like them having to kind of piece together their offensive line week to week, made it look a lot worse than it is. They do need some help at the right tackle and the guard position. If they did that, I think that they'd be pretty solid there, which in my opinion, as I always say, that's your number one priority right now is protecting Andrew Luck. For sure, getting him another wide receiver because T.Y. Hilton is like, that's it. Like, Tex, can you name me one of their other wide receivers?
Moncrief?
No, he's not even the Colts anymore.
No, but he was. That's the only one I knew.
Just because it sounds so close to Moncrief.
Harrison? Is it Harrison? Is he still there? No. Yeah. We talk about the offensive line, but we forget that they actually invested in 2 guards last year, and the guards were rookie, and they played fairly well. But
yeah, Ryan, what's his name from Alabama, right? Yeah, he's actually like, I mean, they have good pieces there. They need a little bit more depth, but for sure they need to work at that right tackle spot. And I think a couple more pieces and it'll be really solid, which is like paramount. Like you got to do that. And Malik Hooker, he was playing he was fucking lights out before he got injured last year. So that's great to have there. They need to work on their front 7 though, for sure. I think if Bradley Chubb is still there at 6, I think they take Bradley Chubb, which I don't blame him.
Yeah.
The word around town nowadays, guys, is that Roquan is definitely like in play there, which I don't hate that pick at all.
Can you imagine? I mean, that's like a nasty 1-2, duo with Roquan and Von Miller. The amount of matchup nightmares that we're not talking about. I was looking at the Broncos. Sorry, this 2% beer is getting to me. Yeah, I guess Roquan would be pretty good with the
Texas water drunk. He's water drunk. No, I think with the new system that they have coming in, I think that it's going to be putting a premium on that weak side linebacker position that Roquan's going to be able to come in and really play and be their heat-seeking missile for and which is perfect considering the division that they're in. Like that's the kind of player that they need going against these other teams. Yeah, Bradley Chubb though would work really well there for sure. Denver Broncos at Denver. Oh wait, give me a prediction.
Well, Andrew Luck is probably going to get hurt within the first 4 games of the season.
Damn it, dude! Why you got to say things like that about my boy?
Sorry, I've got this needle and this little doll. I'm literally poking it right now. It's okay, Andrew.
Wait, are you talking about a sex doll? Got him.
I said a little doll.
Exactly, for a little needle.
I hate you. I'll go as far as to say 6-10.
Yeah,
Andrew Luck.
Honestly, I think 7-9. I think he has a good comeback year. They have a lot of pieces that they need, but man, they have some serious draft capital this year. Honestly, they really do. I think that they're able to really solidify. I in my mock draft, I have them solidifying their offensive line and defensive line. Like that's their major thing to do right now, right then. And I think I think that would be awesome for them. Maybe get some of that wide receiver love in the second round too. If the wide receivers fall, like we think they might, like a James Washington would be disgusting on that team. I feel like paired up with T.Y. Hilton.
No, that would be horrible. James Washington is subpar. So
I'm going to see you in 2 days, so look forward to that. All right, Denver Broncos. They went 5-11 in 2017. Tex, tell me about their season.
I think they had 4 different starting quarterbacks, 3 different starting running backs. Their defense is a top 10 defense. Really held them in as many games as they could. And for being such an amazing defense, their offense is really what sunk them is not being able to move the ball, which put the defense on the on the field far too many times, and they just wore down as the season went on. Elway, since he came to Denver, has been unable to find a replacement outside of Peyton Manning, and even Peyton was good for 2.5 years. He was able to to get a Super Bowl out of it, but really he has nothing in the hopper in terms of quarterback production that has ever panned out. Brock Osweiler, they ended up letting walk, which was a great decision because he didn't pan out. He wasn't worth the money, so I'll give him that. But Paxton Lynch hasn't turned out, and Mr. Irrelevant this past year, Chad Kelly.
Chad Kelly.
He's still on the roster.
Chad Kelly. Dude, I want Chad Kelly to sit behind Case Keenum and Case Keenum just molds him into this young football determined kid. You know what I mean? That'd be so cool to see. Mr. Irrelevant actually makes a difference.
Yeah, and then Chad Kelly says, "Hey, hold my beer. Let me show you what it's like to come in and actually be productive." But you mentioned this a few weeks ago that the Broncos were kind of still on the Chad Kelly train, right? They still kind of believed in him.
Oh yeah, for sure. The word around is that the Denver Broncos like Chad Kelly. They like Baker Mayfield a lot. I think if Baker Mayfield falls to them at 5, we could definitely see them go Baker, just because they like his fire. They coached him at the Senior Bowl. They've had him in for visits. Yeah, for sure. They actually did some good at on the offensive line, which was kind of my biggest harp with them last season. Jason Valdir brought in at the right tackle was good. If they get a left guard, I think that really kind of makes their line decent, pretty solid, which is good. That's the biggest and most important thing, I feel like, in that division, especially. I don't know, man. I feel like wide receiver. I think they need a wide receiver. I think being able to get rid of Demaryius Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders is going to save them an assload of money eventually, and getting a good wide receiver in this draft to be able to come in, and then next season they can cut or trade Demaryius or Emmanuel is a good idea.
Well, I think the Broncos are in an amazing position. I think the perfect scenario for the Broncos is for the Giants to take Saquon Barkley at 2, and Cleveland to take Chubb, and then have a quarterback fall to them. And I say that because I do not believe with three quarterbacks on their roster right now, and a history of missing on quarterbacks, with Elway, tenured, that they take a quarterback. I think they are patiently waiting for the third best quarterback to drop to them, and then they will sell to the highest bidder. And if the highest bidder is a second and a third, I think they take it. They switch positions and they take it. And I think they want to move back, but they cannot, actively go out there and say that, because they lose leverage, right? If I know you want to move back, then I might,
well, I mean, no, he literally did come out and say the pick was for sale.
Right. I mean, every pick is for sale, but what is somebody really going to offer you if they know you're actively wanting to move out of it for real?
If that's your desire, if you're not just we'd sell the pick, sure.
John Dorsey.
Yeah, exactly, which I love. I mean, they got some areas of need next year, but give me a record for next season, you think?
I personally think that defense starts to show a little bit of its age. They lost Aqib Talib, who was, while he was feisty, he was also gave the defense a little bit of an identity, and was able to shoulder a lot of the criticism that maybe Von Miller should be getting as being a team leader. Case Keenum there, that division, I'd say it's kind of up for grabs. So I'd say probably 9-7.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 4-12. I'm going to say they don't really move the meter much up or down. Honestly, I think that division is going to be a lot to handle, dude. The Chiefs, the Chiefs and the Chargers. I think the Chargers are in a prime position to get first place in that division this year.
For sure. Mahomes is, golly, that beautiful arm.
Yeah,
Jeez.
those will be interesting to see what the Chiefs are able to do with that for sure. So moving up to, we're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns first and fourth pick right now. We're just going to chat about that a little bit. Like Cleveland Browns last year, talk about it a little bit. Like we've talked so much about Cleveland. We're both hard Cleveland dick riders really at this point. Like just give me a basic rundown.
I mean, do we even really need to talk to them? They went 0-16. I think the biggest positive came out of, the fact that Josh Gordon was able to get back on the field. He's able to contribute, and they were able to make some great offseason signings. They signed Jarvis Landry to a massive extension. They are bringing back Josh Gordon. All indications are that he has moved past and matured a little bit, and kind of gotten past his demons. We've said it plenty of times. They are the most exciting 0-16 team in the history of the NFL, since there's only been two. But, for being winless and only winning one game in the past 2 seasons, I don't think there could be any more buzz in terms of where they go in 2018 NFL draft. It's no question they go quarterback at number 1. I think the biggest question surrounding John Dorsey and what he does with that pick is who he ends up selecting. And then at 4, we talked about the perfect storm plenty of times where, you pair Chubb up with Myles Garrett and kind of create a ridiculous force. Some people are potentially saying they go cornerback, which, golly, this draft is so deep at cornerback. I think the only reason they go cornerback is if they trade out of the 4th pick. They get their quarterback, they trade out of the 4th, and then they pick, an offensive tackle and a cornerback later in the draft. I think taking
that's my whole thing. Is like they have the opportunity. They can do that later. Like if they even want to trade up into the first round, which I have on my mock, they grab Josh Jackson towards the end of the first because he drops a little bit. That's perfect because they're running that zone now, and that's like they've put in some new pieces with TJ Carey and I can't think of the other guy's name. Signing him Newsome, I think, something like that. No, never mind. That's
Ozzy. They signed up.
No, yeah, he's their quarterback. It's not gonna go well. No, they've made some moves, but I definitely feel like getting a cornerback is huge for them. But as you said, like it's deep. It really is deep. I think something that people are overlooking a little bit, like, is that left tackle, though. Honestly, like losing Joe Thomas, like one of your biggest assets last season, now became your biggest need. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see what they do. Gun to your head, who do you want, Josh Allen or Sam Darnold?
Oh my gosh. Fuck. Might as well kill me. Just pull the trigger.
I want Baker. I want Baker.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I want Baker.
Dude, those are the rumors that are going around this week, dude, is that now the Browns are honestly thinking of Baker.
And I'm going to tell you this right here and right now. Who hated on Baker more than me?
Ohio State fans.
Okay, Ohio State fans. So, but I was a big hater of Baker Mayfield. I would absolutely love to see him go to the Cleveland Browns. I think that would be an amazing pick. It's the right pick. Baker Mayfield, if he was an inch taller, would be the number 1 quarterback in this draft. And I don't know if you've seen that picture of him lined up next to Russell Wilson, but he's taller. So
yep, I know, and it's the same guy. He's not as fast. But yeah, I mean, it's the same guy, and I love Russell Wilson. I thought that was one of the greatest 3rd-round picks ever. Yeah, so it'll be, man, I would love it so much if they went Baker 1. Oh my God, because that would throw such a wrench in everything, really. Like, what do you think about our next team? What would they do in that situation? The New York Jets, 5-11 in 2017. Bunch of needs: quarterback, right tackle, guard, outside linebacker, tight end, wide receiver. They need like a number 1 wide receiver, guys. Having 15 wide receivers on your roster isn't a good thing. It means you don't know what the fuck you have or what you're doing. Yeah. So in this scenario, say the Cleveland Browns go Baker Mayfield at 1. What happens with the next 2 picks?
I think the Giants immediately have to open up 2 or 3 phone lines and just start taking orders, and they ship that second pick to the highest bidder.
I think they just go Sam Darnold.
You think they would go Sam Darnold? Do you think for the Giants it's Sam Darnold or Saquon Barkley?
I think they go Sam Darnold because he is essentially Eli Manning.
Yeah, he really is. Golly, he is like so Eli Manning.
He's Eli Manning. Like, and they're like, oh wait, we get another young Eli Manning. Holy fuck!
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to come in and start his first year. So, yeah, but if I'm the Jets and Baker goes first,
so Baker and Darnold are off the clock then.
Yeah, Baker and Darnold in your scenario, then I think they take Rosen over Allen. But there's a lot of reports that frickin' Rosen could be dropping. So, I mean, who knows, man? That's the beauty of this draft. I think there's absolutely no question. The Browns are taking a quarterback at 1. The Jets are taking a quarterback at 3. Outside of that information, we really have no clue what the Giants may do. It could be Saquon Barkley. It could be, the number 2 overall quarterback, but we just don't know.
Right.
So
no, we have no clue.
And the Jets have made their bed and they have to lay in it. They couldn't get to that number 2 spot. Maybe it's because the Giants were so in love with Saquon. Maybe it's because the Giants were so in love with the number 2 overall quarterback.
Or maybe the Jets were just completely comfortable. They liked 3 quarterbacks.
Yeah. Because, I mean, hell, their head coach is an idiot. I don't believe in him whatsoever.
No, you don't like Todd Bowles. You have never liked Todd Bowles.
Yeah. He's horrible. So
yeah, not great. All right, so number 2 as things stand now. Or actually, give me a prediction for next year of the Jets.
Man, didn't they sign? Who did they sign as far as a quarterback? They got Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy Bridgewater. Yeah, Teddy Bridgewater.
Oh, that's a great signing, honestly.
Yep, and they got Tremaine Johnson.
Yeah. So,
which I love.
I'm gonna say 4-12.
Damn.
Yeah.
Dude, actually, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say, oh God, are they my sleeper for next year?
Oh, here we go. Oh my God.
Are they my sleeper for next year?
Do it. I want to be right. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say 10-6. Yeah, 10-6.
Oh my God.
Yep, 10-6, dude. 10-6.
Oh, I'm going to give you more than enough opportunity to change that pick between now and the start of the season. So I'm not even going to hate on you right now, but that sounds good.
Actually, that sounds like one of my picks that actually comes true, and I get to tell you to suck my dick.
You really didn't know how to finish the end of that sentence. I suck my dick.
Yeah, I know. I did. All right. Second pick, we talked a little bit about the Giants already. Personally, I think that they're going to go Chubb at 2. And you hear some rumblings. It's like, no, Saquon's the number 1, player. They're going to go Saquon, or they're going to go ahead and go Rosen or Baker. Not Baker, but definitely Rosen is in the play field there. They have a lot of needs. I feel like hang on, sorry. They really like their new defensive coordinator. I really like him, James Bettcher. He's the guy. He came out of the Cardinals. He brings a multiple fronts. They brought over some pieces from that team. That's what makes me think Bradley Chubb, because Bradley Chubb can do so many things from that defensive end position. He's a great run stopper as well as a great pass rusher, the great motor. They were 3-13. Things just went completely wrong for them last season. A lot of people had serious high hopes. Tex was absolutely elated that they didn't do well.
Loved it.
Yeah. Man, I don't know. Like I'm gonna say 2-14.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they're right back here, man.
Well. And
I know a lot of people are like, well, at this point, they're like not bad enough to get, they're not bad enough to where next year they're going to have another super high pick, but they're not good enough to actually compete. Like, dude, I don't think they're good enough to compete.
Yeah. They think they are, though. I mean, right?
And that's what matters.
At least they're going to be drawing a paycheck. So,
yeah. All right. So give me a record for the next year.
Oh my goodness. Under Eli, while he doesn't look like he has a broke hip, he's always looked like he's disinterested in playing.
I think that's just his general look.
I'm gonna say 5-11.
Nice. Okay, I'm sure Giants fans will appreciate that. We have talked about the Browns. All right, here it is, the top of the key. Cleveland Browns. Give me a record for them next season.
I'm pretty sure MGM has them winning 3 games.
I'd take the over on that all day.
I mean, if I were to take the over on that, I would have 16 games, of just pure excitement where I get to watch and root for them. But I'm going to say,
do they really have them at 3 wins?
I'm pretty sure
next
3-13 is their record that MGM. The last I saw it, and I think that was in like January or February, but that was pre free agent signings and whatnot. But I'll give them a solid 4 games. I think 4 or 5 games would be great for them.
I think
if they did that,
I really do. I think with the draft capital that they have, I think with John Dorsey there calling the shots, because I love me some John Dorsey. I think with their free agent signings, I think they go 8-8 for sure. I love Tyrod Taylor, man.
Well, yeah, golly, I would be totally cool with 8-8. Jeez.
That'd be amazing to see. Amazing. But yeah, guys, so thanks for hanging out and sticking with us through our 32 and 32 finale. Woo! There you go. ExDraftaganza, as we like to call it. It was a really good time. You can make sure to check us out on Apple Podcast, subscribe, shoot us a review. We love it when that happens. And you can find us on social media, on the Twitter, on Instagram, Facebook, and on our website, www.thebackups.com. With a Z.
What? And don't forget to subscribe, right? Like, that's what all the cool people do.
Exactly. Those cool people subscribe, y'all. We're going to the draft!
You've been listening to the Backups Podcast. Follow us on Instagram, find us on iTunes, and visit the website at www.thebackups.com with a Z for more.